up, all my fight fans? UFC 278 this Saturday. We got Luke Rockhold versus Paulo Costa. Now, we got one Luke Rockhold who has not fought since against his Jan Blachowicz. I believe that was 3 years ago at the light heavyweight division. Then you got Paulo Costa, who recently fought not super long against Marvin Vettori. It was sometime in the beginning of the year, if I remember correctly, a fight night. These guys are both coming off some losses. You got Luke Rockhold, who, has not had a win since he fought David Branch, I want to say. And that might have been, I want to say 2017. I want to say around that time frame. And then you got Paulo Costa, who himself has not had a win since his very tough back and forth fight with Yoel Romero. So these two guys really need a win. But who is going to win? What's going to happen? You got Luke Rockhold, who is by far, on paper, and could very well have been the greatest middleweight of all time. His skills on the ground, his very, very great technique that he had on the feet with his striking, with his kicks. He has by far the best question mark kick I've ever seen. And then you have, like I said, with his rise as he came up, he went the likes of Lyoto Machida. He went with Michael Bisping that first fight. So he's definitely had some very, very good victories. And we also remember that he was also in Strikeforce. He also had a lot of fights in Strikeforce as well. So he's no punk. And guess what, guys? If anybody doesn't know this or don't remember this, he trained with the likes of Khabib, Daniel Cormier, Cain Velasquez, free Cain, by the way. So he is no stranger to high-level grapplers, high-level black belt jiu-jitsu artists, and high-level strikers. He has definitely been in there with some great, great team members. But, he's had an unfortunate skid for a while. He won that title in a great victory over Chris Weidman back in 2015. Then, unfortunately, in 2016 of June, I believe, he lost a knockout loss, to Michael Bisping. Then he went in there against David Branch, won. He did not look the greatest. He was getting his head knocked around a little bit, but he still got the victory. Then he went in there with Yoel Romero, unfortunately got knocked out. Then he went in there again with Jan Blachowicz at light heavyweight, and again got knocked out. But ever since then, following his career, following the his outside career, he has definitely, given himself a new life, I would say. He has looked really great. He went in there into Orange County and started training with Jason Perillo. Excuse me if I'm saying his last name wrong. The guy that trained Michael Bisping, and trains Rafael dos Anjos, trains a lot of really good high-level MMA fighters. And he's definitely looking great. He's in training camp. He's in phenomenal shape. And we've been hearing a lot of great things from his former team members and his new team members about how ready he is. So that's Luke Rockhold's story. Now we got Paulo Costa, and Paulo Costa has fallen in some interesting times, I should say. He has, he had that great victory over Yoel Romero, really good back and forth fight. I think he got hurt, so he couldn't take on the fight. Then, of course, we remember what happened. COVID did hit, but did not stop the fight from happening with Israel Adesanya. Now, according to Paulo Costa, he couldn't sleep. This fight was in Abu Dhabi back in September 2020. And unfortunately, he has mentioned multiple times that he wasn't able to sleep. The time change or whatever the case was, he could not get the best sleep that he wanted. So he ended up drinking a lot of wine and such, possibly even took melatonin. Don't quote me on that. And yeah, he went in there with Israel Adesanya and just got completely dominated. It wasn't even a fight. It wasn't even close. But of course, Paulo Costa has come out and said it's due to that fact. Who knows? Maybe it's true, maybe it isn't. But nonetheless, that's what happened. Then time goes on, and we see him in there with Marvin Vettori, supposed to be at middleweight. Then he says he injured his bicep and couldn't do any cardio. So the weight went up to, I believe, 195, then 200, then 205. So he went in there as a light heavyweight. I am super surprised and super shocked that this fight is even happening at middleweight because we've seen how big Paulo Costa was. And unfortunately, he lost that fight. He's looked good, but lost that fight too. So here we are. You know, these guys have been trash talking each other, and who's going to win? My favor would be in with Luke Rockhold, even though he's had some time off in the ring, the cage, and he's, like I said, he basically gave himself new life within himself. I do believe sometimes time away is also a good thing. It could be a bad thing because you could create yourself a lot of, you know, ring rust, octagon rust, whatever you want to call it. But also it gives you time to refresh. It gives you time to rest your body. It gives you time to rest your mind. It gives you time to correct the things that maybe have been holding you back, or things that you were doing wrong that were stopping you from reaching your star status, you know, champion status. So with that case, with this new training camp, with the things we've been hearing, with the things we've been seeing, I can see Luke Rockhold definitely taking a victory. How? That's tough. Because again, as great as Luke Rockhold is, I believe sometimes his ego has get in the way. And that's one thing we got to see. Are we going to see his ego in check and finally see him take someone to the ground? Because again, like I said, Lyoto Machida, Michael Bisping in that first fight, Luke Rockhold is more than a striker. He is a phenomenal grappler. Great submissions. Great submissions. And like I said, he's trained with some high level grapplers, like a Habib, probably the biggest there is when it comes to grappling. So he can do it. As far as striking, great striker, but doesn't have the best defense. So as far as his chin goes, it's tough. And we know Paulo Costa can hit like a truck. So, I mean, again, I am choosing Luke Rockhold to win, but I would not be surprised if Paulo Costa does pull out this victory. Now, what happens if Luke Rockhold wins? I do strongly believe, with his name value, with the fact that there's not a whole lot of up-and-comers within the middleweight division right now, because Israel Adesanya just ran right through him. And like I said, with his name, being a former champion, beating Luke Rockhold, I do believe this victory would give him a title shot regardless. If he loses, I don't know. Depending on how he loses, it might be that time where we might see goodbye to Luke Rockhold. And with that said, if Paulo Costa wins, maybe perhaps that winner of Robert Whittaker versus Marvin Vettori, could see a Marvin Vettori rematch, could see Robert Whittaker. I'm not sure if those two were ever scheduled to fight. I'll have to look into that one. But I wouldn't hate it. You know, I would not hate it. Or depending on how he wins, maybe he wins in such a dominant fashion. And like I said, there's not a whole lot left for Izzy to do in the middleweight division. If he gets past, because we know he's scheduled to fight Alex Pereira. This could be jumping the gun. If he gets past that, we could see a possible Paulo Costa versus Izzy part 2. Again, not sure. Probably not the best idea, but you never know. That's my pick, guys. Like, subscribe, hit the notification button. Let me know what you guys think in the comments.